Hello and welcome back to Creepy Cutie Crafty. Welcome back to yet another crafting video with me, Heather. Hi guys, how are you doing this week? So this week this Friday, I am finishing off this leaf and then I'm going to do some little stars around on this goldwork project kit. Yeah, how are you doing guys? It's not been very long for me since I last spoke to you. I literally finished my Monday video yesterday because I'm filming this on the Tuesday, but I've got a bit of a manic week this week because I'm working at the museum on tomorrow and Thursday, and then I'm also working MJQ, or the Museum of the Jewellery Quarter, on Friday, so I'm trying to play catch up before I start the week, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to try and not repeat myself too much from what I said on yesterday's video, but you know, I do try and think of new and exciting things to talk about whilst I'm doing my stitching. I don't really get to do much excitement in between the Mondays and the Tuesdays because, you know, it's Monday and Tuesday. About the most exciting thing that I do apart from my stitching is possibly going to the shops and things for the weekly groceries, which is never, it's not exactly a grand day out. But anyway, so yeah, I'm just finishing off this leaf here and I'm hoping to get some time to do some more stars. Now, the reason why I was talking about doing more stars is when I started this goldwork kit way back when, last year, I started with these little stars and things here, and I want to see if I can make a better version of those stars now, having been through all the process of making this goldwork kit. So I'm just finishing off this leaf with my last few bits of gold smooth bullion, yeah. So if you guys have got no idea what I'm talking about, if it's your first day coming and joining me here on Creepy Cutie Crafty, I'll just explain what I'm doing. This is a goldwork kit that uses bullion and thread to create these lovely images. And I've been looking at goldwork for a while. I was thinking last year of buying some bits and pieces of gold bullion, because what these little pieces of wire are called, they're called bullion, and making something up for myself. But then I thought, well, actually I'd rather work from a kit. So I'd looked at a few like websites and things, and found some ideas. And then I was also watching, you know, goldwork videos on YouTube from other creators, and one of the creators that I watched was Bernadette Banner, who is a historical costume vlogger, and she does lots of videos about the history of clothing, the history of costume, older and more traditional methods of garment making, lots of research, lots of creative work, an awful lot of hand sewing. So not very many of her more historical garments are made using sewing machines and things, although you know there is some of that as well. But it's fascinating to see, because you get to learn an awful lot about the traditions of clothing and the traditions of garment making, and how these things came about and how things sort of wound up being as they are now in the clothing making industry. It's fascinating, and I do highly recommend having a watch. But one of the first videos I watched with her in was visiting the Hand and Lock embroidery studio in London, I believe it is, where they do lots of traditional sort of very well established embroidery and gold work, and lots of very, very fine work, remaking sometimes historical garments as well, but also creating new garments for special occasions here in the UK. And they created some of the gold work emblems and things for King Charles's not inauguration, his coronation. So I think I've got too many short pieces here. I'm just going to quickly snip some more off using my my bullion scissors. I've called these black scissors bullion scissors now, excuse the rustling, because that's what I'm using them for, because they've got the gold blades, so I can separate them out. Is that longer? I need a bit longer than that. You can see the size of the pieces that I'm doing. That's maybe a bit too long. I'm doing well. I've gone from too short to too long. There we go, that's about the right length, I think. I'll do one more of those. And you can see how teeny tiny these pieces are. And it's not doing my eyes any favours. My eyes are very much complaining about having to do gold work bits and pieces, because they are very, very teeny tiny. But just give me a second. I'll see if I can get this on my hook, like that, on my hook, on my needle. Push it over like that. When it's on the needle, I'm pulling it apart just slightly so that I can couch it down, because these bits of bullion, they're like coils of wire made into like a very long, very very shiny spring. So you or I pass the thread through the center of these little tubes, these little springs, sew it down, and then put it in place. And if it gets all wonky like that, I can just get my little mellow tool here, untwist it, and hopefully that one's got twisted on the one before, I think. There we go, that's in place. And then I can come back in with my needle like that, and add a little stitch going over, and that should slip between the cracks there and couch it down. It's a bit wobbly, but I'm okay with that. I can live with that, and I'm sure you guys out there can too. So I'll just show you quickly what this kit is, because I'm trying to do this every time, because I don't want to, you know, take credit for things that aren't mine. But this is the Hand and Lock company, Hand and Lock London. They've been going on for several centuries, as I've said before, and this is made in collaboration with Bernadette Banner, and this is the wheat sheaf embroidery kit. And this was part of a set of 2 that came on this lovely black velvet. The idea was, if you bought both of them, you could turn them into a little pouch, sort of sew them back to back and then add a lining and all this sort of stuff. But I want to keep mine sort of out, because it's probably about the most fancy thing I've ever done, and I want to keep it looking nice. And knowing me, if I turned it into a pouch, I'd knock off all the beads and bits and pieces. So I'm going to try and find a way to display it so that it looks nice, and I can enjoy it for a few years to come. But of course, the other thing is that the kits are not cheap, and I only got this because it was for my 50th birthday, bought for me by my lovely husband last year. And I'm thinking of getting a smaller kit for Halloween, because there's this little spooky kit that I've mentioned in previous episodes, but I might pick that up. I don't know yet. I'm going to think on it and consider my options. Right, so I'm coming in with the smaller ones now, and yeah. When I'm doing this, one of the things in the kit is a little lump of beeswax used to rub over the thread. So Daisy, come on. And that makes it easier for it to pass through both the fabric and through the centre of these little springs, these little coils of gold bullion. Okay, let's try and get you in there nicely. Is that in the right place? Yep, just about in the right place. It is teeny tiny, and I do worry because it's a little bit hard for you guys to see. I'm going to try and, if I do return to this later in the year, I'm going to try and get a more of a macro lens for this process, because then you'll be able to see it a bit more easily. I can understand it's a little bit frustrating, but you can see it coming together anyway. But yeah, it is teeny tiny, but it is also immense fun. I was doing this last week using my magnifying glass, but it's makes my eyes go a bit funny. Anyway, so there we go. And I'm going to finish off these 2 leaves here off screen, so that I can move on to the next project. But make sure that if you want to see how it turns out, make sure that you follow me on both Instagram and on Facebook, because I'll be sharing my finished pictures in both places, and you can tell me how good or bad you think it is, and let me know if you want to have a go at doing some gold work like this yourself. It'll be fascinating to see. I will also try and share a picture on here when I do my videos next week as well. But yeah, it's one of those things where you have to sort of gee yourself up to it. I for a long time, when I started doing this, I got myself a bit sort of overawed. I was intimidated by the possibility of doing this gold work, because it felt like, oh, this is a bit too special, it's a bit too fancy for me, because I'm a bit of a lower class lady, you know. I'm not one of the upper echelons of society, but at the same time, why can't I do this? Because, you know, it's one of the things, you've got to celebrate the craftspeople as well as the people who wear whatever is made. It's one of those interesting, it's like, I mean, we're talking about King Charles, and we're talking about all of the things that have been mentioned in the news about the royal family in the last week or so, and I kind of feel a bit weird mentioning that, you know, these kits were used, not these kits, this company was used to create the gold work as used by King Charles and co for the coronation. But at the same time, I feel, well, you know, King Charles didn't make these things, so he has no say in whether or not I celebrate the makers rather than the people who wear it. It's part of, you know, the creative heritage of this country and of this world. I always find quite interesting. I years ago did a bit of research into Ireland's history, and Ireland's history with the colonisers, and the contrast between Irish built heritage, so buildings, the roundhouses, the meeting places, the holy places, as contrasting with the big houses, which is what they called the houses where sort of the lairds and the lords of the manor and things used to live. And I thought it was quite interesting that after the British rule was ended in the majority of Ireland, the big houses, these big sort of manor houses where these you know, rich English occupiers lived, they were sort of left on the wayside for a very, very long time. However, a few years ago, I think it was in the 80s, I'm not sure if that's correct, but I seem to remember it being in the 80s or in the 90s, they suddenly went, well, actually, yeah, these lords and ladies and, you know, landowners may well have lived in these places, but they didn't build them, so why should they get the credit for these creations? Excuse me 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just got a call in the middle of doing this, and I had to stop what I was doing to take it. Anyway, so I've finished that line there. I think that looks pretty good, and as I say, I'm going to finish these 2 off screen, but I've just tied myself off some thread there. Just going to do a quick beeswax on it to make sure that it's nice and smooth, and I'm going to have a go at doing one of these stars. So using chips of this stuff, excuse the crinkles, and it's gold bright check, again another coil, but it's been hammered on one side or on two sides to make it a bit sort of catches the light a bit more. And I've cut off some little chips here, which I'm just going to stitch down into place. This one is the biggest of the chips. I'm going to use that as a sort of central point. And the good thing about this kit is, well, one of the many good things about this kit is actually really a lot of fun and very good introduction to the craft. And I definitely recommend checking out the Hand and Lock website. There are obviously other websites and other companies that will do goldwork kits, but from my experience, this has been excellent. And like I say, there's another goldwork kit from the same company that I'm definitely eyeing up, but that will be for later, much later in the year. But the other good thing about this is that in this kit there is a lot of bullion. So I've done almost everything on here, as you can see. I've used gold rough, gold smooth, pearl, bright check, beads, all this sort of stuff, and yet I've not used half of what I've been provided here. So I've got an awful lot more of all of the beads and the gold smooth and the gold rough. You can see there's a lot left over, so it gives you quite a lot of scope to go and do what you want with it, which is something that I really do appreciate. Anyway, so as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted, yeah, you've got the big houses in Ireland, which are big, beautiful sort of manor houses, and they were very much associated with the lords and the landowners and these people who were not good guys. They were absolutely not good guys. Let's make no bones about that. After the Republic of Ireland was separated from Northern Ireland, the big houses were emptied, and they were left empty for a long time. But Irish folk then sort of said, well, actually, yeah, we had these lords and ladies living in these places, but they didn't build them, and it's not their handcrafting, it's not their skills that are on display here. It's the skills of Irish stoneworkers and Irish labourers that's on show here. So why are we letting them fall to waste when we've got this aspect of our history that we can celebrate? And it's the history of the people who were doing, not just the people who are using. And this is a big thing that is kind of a bugbear of mine, because if you remember me talking about blackwork and how one of the stitches is named the Holbein stitch after a painter who just happened to paint these pictures of fancy folk, upper class folk who had blackwork on their clothing, and obviously him being a man, he got the credit for it, whereas the actual work was done by women of the household. And so we're kind of rediscovering the history of these things, not from the people who wore them or used them, or, you know, in some cases paid for them, in some cases didn't. But now we're getting the history of the folks who actually made the things that we admire. And that's how I feel about the gold work being used to celebrate King Charles's coronation. I don't care about, you know, the monarch. I don't care about, you know, the royal family and all this sort of stuff. I'm very much not a monarchist. You know, everybody's allowed to have their difference of opinion, but that's just where I am. But that doesn't mean I can't celebrate the crafts people, most particularly the crafts women, who have made these gorgeous one-off pieces of work that should be hung on the walls in galleries and admired, rather than worn by folks who probably don't actually appreciate the things that are on their shoulders. But that's just my opinion, and you guys are welcome to have a different opinion to mine, but you know, you just got to be prepared to argue it, I suppose. But that's just where I stand. Anyway, I'm really liking this little star. It's still not the greatest thing I've ever made, but I do kind of like it. And it's gone down a lot quicker than the previous ones that I made. So I'm just going to poke that one into the middle. Oopsie-daisy. There. Now, yeah, I did say earlier I was planning on doing some more gold work later in the year, and I think I do want to have a go at that. However, I think I want to do something a little bit more gothy. Now, there is a kit I was talking about last week, the Mary Shelley kit. Mary Shelley, if you don't know, she's the inventor of the whole genre of sci-fi, science fiction and horror, and she was very well recognised as, you know, one of the primo goths of the world. I like that little star there. I'm just going to tie that off, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so yep, I like that little star. I wouldn't say it's better than these ones, but I think it looks better without the things behind them that was providing the sort of the pattern that I was using before. And this time I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to use some of my pearl. So I'm not going to tie off that thread. I'm just going to go straight in up here and see if I can create something that's a little bit better than some of these wibbly wobbly ones over here. So if I get my pearl, you can see this is a lot springier than the one that I just had. But I'm just going to, oops-a-daisy, forget my scissors. Grab these, and I'm going to do some lengths that are almost sort of the same size. Let's see if I can get them the same size. Need to bring my cushion up again. Excuse me 1 second. There we go. So let's see if I can get them about the same size. And that's disappeared. Where's that gone to? There it's down there. It's a bit longer, that's fine. Three, 4, oopsie-daisy, and 5. There we go. Now with the pearl, it is too narrow to pass the needle down. However, before you put it down, I'm going to pull it apart just slightly, without hopefully distorting it. And that just means that when I come to couching it, the thread will pass through it much more easily. Hopefully, I'll say that now. I'm trying not to get my nails in there because the nails will distort it. There we go, that's a bit better. So if I put that there, oops-a-daisy, it's immediately going to fly off. Come on. So probably you can either have nails, in which case you can pick up these little tiny pieces, but you're more likely to distort them, or you can have no nails, which means it's harder to pick up, but you won't distort the wires. It's a toss-up really, isn't it? There we go. Yep, that's gone through very easily and hasn't distorted it. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, I was having a look at this Mary Shelley kit, and I think I definitely want to have a go. It's a very sort of dark gothic-y type kit, which is just up my street. However, I'm also thinking that if that kit, which is a bit of a smaller kit than this one, has plenty left over, I might use it for another project. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you'll know that a long time ago I did a beetle. It was quite a big beetle, it was about this big, out of embroidery and a little bit of felt to create sort of physical sort of space for it. And I think I would like to have another go at doing something beetle or insect based, but using gold work and black work, and I think that could be quite fun. So let me know what you want if you'd like to see me do that, because I'm thinking of doing these around Halloween time, so it's going to be autumn when, you know, there's more beetles out anyway, and, you know, enjoying the spooky season. And again, as anybody who knows, who's been with me for a while, they know that I really do enjoy my spooky season crafts. Personal taste and all that, but you know, if you like something, you like something, don't you? Yes. Right, I'm going to put that to there. Let's see if I can poke it into place just a little bit. Need a little bit of a gap in the middle, just for one extra bit. There we go. I'm just going to couch that down again. You can hear it tick as it goes through. But yeah, it's something that's going to be quite interesting, is seeing what I can do with the rest of the year, because I've kind of got myself a list of things I want to do. I know that after this one is finished, after this kit is finished, I'm going to be moving on to my sashiko project that I've been promising for yonkers, promising myself as well as promising you guys. But I'm finally going to be doing it once I've got this kit finished. So I'll be finishing this over the weekend as well, just filling in these leaves and things. Like I say, keep an eye out on Facebook and Instagram for that, and I will also share a picture on here. I've just got to work out how to display it now. Well, that's going to be the fun thing. I'm thinking of getting like a little box frame and maybe adding some little lights into it. I don't know. I will have to think on that one. I don't want to make it too cheesy, but I do also want to make sure that I can display it in such a way that shows it at its best. Let's put it that way. Again, I am very aware that I am not the creator of this kit, but I am the creator of my version of this kit's outcome, and I really do like how it's looking. It's taken me a long time, and definitely learned a lot from this, especially learned a lot about not letting myself get intimidated by the craft, especially when I know that there are some amazing crafters out there, many of whom are so much better than me, but that doesn't mean that my work isn't valid. And you know, everyone's got their own skills, everyone's got their own abilities, and everyone's got their own interest, and this for me is interesting. And I do like looking up like the history of these crafts and things, and seeing how those histories have been tailored to a certain segment of society, shall we say. But yes, can you tell I'm feeling a bit bolshy today? My mum used to sort of say I should be an anarchist. I should go out and become an anarchist. It's like, I could, but you know, who's got the energy? Anyway, I'm very close to the end of the star, so I'm going to go a little bit over my time on this bit, just so I can get it all done and looking as good as I can. Get that in there. And I'll get some nice photos of this at the end of the video. Yep, you can see it's gone a bit wobbly there, but that's fine. I can de-wobble it in a minute. I'm going to pass that under so it holds it in place. And then onto this side to just bring it around. And just poke that down onto, oops, there. And this is where my mellow tool might come in useful, but I'm just going to try and do it by hand at the moment. That is a very wobbly star, but I can live with it. I'm sure you guys can live with it too. There we are. And then the final one over here. Even though it's wobbly, I still think it's better than these ones because the stitches are less visible. It's not, you know, it's not perfect, but I am still very much learning. And this is all the process, isn't it? Let me know, guys, what kind of goldwork kits would you like to see? What kind of things would you like to have had a go with yourself? It is kind of a fancy schmancy process, or a fancy schmancy craft, but it is also great fun, and you know, you can make your own of it, can't you? It's the bullion is a little bit expensive, and you know, if this hadn't have been a birthday gift, I probably wouldn't have bought it for myself, but I can recommend getting hold of one and having a go yourself, because it is great fun, and it's really fun to see how these bits and pieces have come together to create this beautiful image. Very well designed, Miss Banner, and very much appreciated from this homely crafter over here. Anyway, so let's just get that into the. Probably going to add a few more stitches on that to just hold it in place after I finish the video. And I will definitely be taking a photograph of that at the end so you can see for yourself how it looks. And then for the final bit, I've got this last little bit of bright check here left from the other star, and I'm just going to poke that into there. Like that, so it fits in the middle, and then I'm going to couch it down. This is where holding the thread in place is a good idea, because you want it to be over where the bright check is, and that's that done. And I'll have a bit of a finish of that one off screen, and yeah, keep an eye out for that one at the end of the video. So I'm going to park this up over there for a while. Like I say, keep an eye out for the finished thing on Instagram and on Facebook. I'll be back in a bit for the last bit of my white work, so I'll see you in a bit. Bye. Okay, so welcome back again. Yeah, I'm just continuing my little bit of white work on here. I managed to get all the red interweaving done here, but I'm going to do a row of white weaving on this bit, and I was thinking of adding a bead in here or something, but I might have to come back to that one next week when I'm doing when I'm doing the finished thing. And I'm going to finish doing the red interweaving on this side. Now, I do like the way that the red interweaving on this side has sort of squished down these eyelets. and made them sort of like puffy, whereas over here it's more open. Now for these ones, like you saw me doing on Monday, I was doing outside, middle, outside, middle, outside, middle, so I was missing off a couple of these threads, and I just going to tie this off onto the next one, and I think it works, but I don't think the eyelets look as nice when they're not being squished down, if you know what I mean. So I think if I was to do it again, I would squish those. I would do those with a stitch on every single piece of the weaving, because I just think it looks better. But you know, it's working, but not in the way that I expected it to. So like you see here, these are, you know, a little bit sort of gappy, but once you've got the weaving, the interweaving coming in, it makes them a little bit more squished down, makes them look a bit more organised, a bit more sort of decorative. But I like that. And I've got to think about what I want to do for the, oops Daisy, come on, the central two columns here. It's so far it seems like I'm doing a whitework version of the Danish flag, which is an accidental thing, and I'm not entirely upset about it. But you know, it's not kind of what I'm going for. But you know, we'll go with it for the moment. And then going to go through here, and this time rather than weaving underneath, I'm going to go through here, because then I can hide my loop in the red interweaving later, and then I can come up to here and then start again. I'm not going to be doing this all the time. There is something on this one I want to do as well, so I'm just going to do this one and I'll finish these off screen, and again I'll take photographs so that you can see at the end of the video. But we'll see how we go. I was gonna, as I say, I was gonna add some beads. I've even got the, you know, the packet of beads down here, but although the beads go onto the needle, they don't go onto over the eye, which is a bit of an unfortunate thing. So I'm gonna have to try and find a narrower needle with which to do that with. But I can live with it for the moment, and again, I'm sure you guys can too. But yes, I will find that one for next week's video. And I'm going to do this on this side as well. I'm going to be a bit naughty and come through here as a secret stitch, and again come up here and hide it behind the red, and then I can continue like that, rather than going underneath and back and forth again. There we go. I said I was going to finish this one, didn't I? So I'm going to just finish this one, and then I'm going to park it up, and then I'm going to go have a go at something with this one. I'm very aware of my time. I went slightly over with the gold work because I was finishing off those little stars at the end, but I can get this done. That's fine. Just don't want to go too far over because I'm trying to keep it down to an hour. And by the time you see this, I will be probably on my way home from working at the Museum of the Jewellery Quarter for the day. So it's going to be interesting. It's one of my favourite places to work, but it does have sort of bittersweet memories for me there, because I love the site, but I also love the people who used to work there when I worked there. But unfortunately, they've all gone on to pastures new for various reasons, which I won't go into because I can't. Anyway, so I'm going to park that up there, and I will finish off that piece of white work at the end of the day and take a photograph of it, and I'm just going to shift over to this one over here. So back in a second. I'm just going to sort things out so I can show you what I'm doing. Back in a sec. Okay, so I've set up for this little corner here, and I'm going to do a quick pass through the center there, and then I'm going to do a stitch into there and back out. And just see what happens. Again, I am experimenting. I am not doing something that I've been shown how to do, just trying things out. That looks interesting. And I'm going to do the same on this one. So go through, oopsie daisy, don't pull it down, pass that through there, and then do a pass through the first two there, and back in like that, and then into there, pass it through. This, as I say, this is only an experimental piece. I'm only trying out different stitches, different patterns, different methods, and seeing what I like and what I want to try and use in my finished whitework piece, which is going to be starting next week probably. And then go to here, go through like that, pull that nice and tight, then go through there and back, and then I'm going to pass this into the middle here, take it off the needle, and then get myself some of my red thread. I do like this variegated red thread, but it's not very powerfully variegated, if that makes any sense. It's kind of subtle, so you've got this little bit of difference between the reds on here, not a huge difference. Again, I think it's got kind of a gothic feel to it, which I really like. And yeah, I think it's looking good. So separating out 3 strands, doing my usual bit of getting gravity to give me a hand, lifting it up, and oopsie daisy, getting trapped around there, hold on, and using gravity to spin me bobbin so that it separates the 3 strands. Again, that's just my particular method of doing it, and I know that other people have their own preferences, and some people don't like using these bobbins, but I do. Apart from anything else, it helps me to keep my colours a bit organised. But yeah, it's a personal taste at the end of the day, and personal taste counts for a lot in this life, doesn't it? Yes, that's what I'm sticking to anyway. Anyway, so gonna just sort this needle out, so we'll be back in a second. Okay, so I'm back again, and I'm just going to pass this one into the second little hole there, and going to go in on the second stitch there, back out there, doing a little sort of weavy stitch, just seeing what happens. And I'm going to be changing the colours on these on the thread quite often, so see how that works. Kind of like it, but I think it does need some improvement in some way. I'm not sure how, but I will find out what I can do. So that goes into there. I'm just going to follow it all the way around. And I'm not pulling it super tight because I want it to be looping a little bit rather than pull tight. So let's keep going with that one. I'm just enjoying experimenting with the different colours. I know that whitework technically should only have white thread, but you know, you have modern variations that have a mix as well. So I'm going to sort of, when I come to doing my my proper pieces, my finished pieces, my final project ideas, I think I'm going to do a mix. I think I'm going to do one that has a mix of the dyed coloured thread and the white thread, and then on others I will have a just white only on whatever it is I'm going to be working on. I'm making it up as I go along, same as I normally do, but I think it seems to be working out again, and I kind of like the results. But it's fun to play, fun to experiment, and it's a good way to learn about the processes that you're having a go at. I do still have my little book on the side over there that I keep dipping into for little ideas and things, but I'm just enjoying playing, and I'm going to pass that into the centre there again and take it off the needle, and then come back in again with this one. So I'm just going to put this back on the needle. Again, I'm using my threader because my eyes are not very happy with me at the moment. Doing too much close work, maybe that's what it is. Yes, just bringing that back through. I'm going to post that back through there so I can start again, and I'm going to come in, oops a daisy, make sure I don't get my red thread snickered up with it. Going to come in through there, come back in through there, and then back out, around, out and in, and yeah, you see that's kind of de-looped itself on the back, so I'm gonna need to rethink that one. So maybe if I do that, and then that's a conundrum. Come through on the last one there, so that I do go through on the back, and then weave that one through there, out and back. I'm getting myself all tangled up again, and then through. It's looking like something that could be good, but I think I need to experiment a little bit more with it. It's an idea though. So up to there, up and out, under and out, then up and over. Problem is also when you've got these pulled threads, they do tend to sort of bunch up when you pull up there. They're not as firm, obviously, as when they're just woven. So it does take a bit of time to get used to it. I'm also going to have to be aware that as I go through, I'm going to get more and more stitches showing up through these little things here. So I think I'm going to do one more row of red and then move on to something else, because I don't think it's going to work quite the way that I was hoping. But you know, you live and learn, or at least I do. And that's what this is all about. It's all about learning new stitches. It's about learning new processes, and yeah, learning what you can and can't do with particular mediums, particular styles. I do like the whitework, I really do. I mean, it's quite interesting. I thought it was going to be sort of more airy-fairy in some ways. I didn't think it was going to be as technical as it has been, but I really didn't have any expectations, and I really am enjoying it. So yeah, I very highly recommend, if you like getting yourself all tangled up like I am, and you enjoy looking at different kinds of historical embroidery styles, I definitely recommend looking up different whitework styles. There's a lot of them, and they are fascinating, and you can mix and match, obviously, because you're not going to call yourself a traditional hard hanger embroiderer if you're not a traditional hard hanger embroiderer and you don't come from that part of the world. But it is a great way to while away the hours and try to get yourself all tangled up and knotted up. But yes. Right, so back in with the red, and then I've got an idea of what I want to do for the last bit, but I will think about that later, and you will probably see the results at the end of the video, same as ever. So yeah, definitely keep your eye out for that one. Okay, so I'm going to come in from daisy there, do a little wiggle through daisy there. Let's see if we can get that going through. I think I'm nearly done on my time as well, so I'm going to be finishing most of this off screen, and then I'm going to go through there. Yep, I'm filling up these little spaces between the weaves, so it's interesting. It's a process. It's a process, and I am learning it. There and there, and then back down through there. Trying to get these as low as I can. I like that. I like it, but I'm not entirely sure it's effective for what I'm trying to go for. But we shall see. I will finish this little bit here. And I'm concentrating, so of course I've gone silent. Sorry, guys. And yes, so yeah, I'm still thinking about the other bits and pieces I want to do later in the year. I've got several ideas for autumn and for Halloween now, so that's a good thing. But before then, I've got other bits and pieces to do. Now, I want to get this project underway as well as my sashiko project. So that's going to start taking up sort of the first half of the year, and then I want to get started on some more later in the year projects. So I was having a go at some more tie-dye, which is something I want to do, and I'm thinking about turning my tie-dye videos into shorts, so I've got something more to add on those episodes, but I don't know. I'm gonna think about it. What do you think guys think I should do? Do you think I should keep my tie-dyeing to the long videos, or do you think I should start doing them in shorts so I can have like a little flash of them? Because I'm also trying to learn more about tie-dye processes, and I think I want to make sure that I'm sharing as much as possible so that you guys can see what I'm getting up to. I do my pattern designing on my shorts, but I think I want to do more than just the one thing. Not that there's anything wrong with pattern designing, I absolutely love it, but I am also aware that it is only one of the many things that I would like to be doing. But yes, that's just my feelings about that. But I don't know. It depends on time and space and things like that, doesn't it? I do enjoy the tie-dye process, and I really did enjoy the last little bit that me and Squinks did, the tie-dye and the shibori that we had a go at, and I definitely want to return to it, but I don't think I want to do another full video on it, but I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. And talking of which, I think that's that part done. I will finish that again off screen, and let me know what you think of that. I like it. It's sort of floral, but I think I definitely need to have some more ideas and some more thinking about it, but we'll see. Anyway, so let me know what you think of these two down in the comments, as well as my gold work. And yeah, keep an eye out for the end of the video where you'll see these bits and pieces finished. Yeah, if you do leave a comment, let me know what you think of all these bits and pieces and what kind of crafts you want me to have a go at in the future. And also let me know what you think of these projects so far and what you would have done differently with them, because I do like to hear people's opinions. It's interesting to get into conversations about these things. And yeah, whilst you're down there, please remember to like and subscribe and all those lovely little things that help a tiny little channel like mine to grow. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much again for watching, and bye bye.